Hello everyone, I'm going to take you through a quick simulation of how to use the new Raptor reunification app for emergency drills. And this is specifically intended for teachers and staff members and the function and the role that you have in using the app. And really there's two things that you will be using the app for. You will first of all get an alert. You'll get an alert via a text message, you'll get an alert via email, and also through a push notification. And so once that occurs, really your whole role is to account for yourself and give your location, and account for your students and give a location. It also has the ability to account for other students that you aren't necessarily responsible for but are part of your group. You can add them to that. So we'll go through that and tell you how you're going to do that. And I believe we're going to run a drill here pretty soon, so you'll have a chance to kind of practice this a little bit. Hopefully you've downloaded the Raptor reunification app from your app store. You've gotten an email and instructions for a password, and you've got that in. And once you download the app, you'll get this login screen. And of course the login will be your email, and then it will be your password that you generated. When the drill starts, depending on what kind of drill that it is, we'll say in this simulation it's a fire drill. After you've secured your kids and you've moved outside, once the drill has been activated, then at that time you'll go ahead and take your phone out and you'll look at your app, and you'll have this on your app. It'll say evacuation drill, fire emergency management test building. That's for this one. It's actually going to say Robinson Junior High or Robinson High School, whichever building that you're in. And so once you get your kids outside and you get them secured, if it's a fire drill, now you're going to do what is listed in the standard response protocol, and that's take roll. So you're going to touch the screen where it says evacuation drill, and it's going to download all the information from Skyward and all our other systems, so you can have your schedules and all the kids and all the staff members in there as well. You'll kind of see two screens. It's kind of a split screen looking situation. You really want to use what's the menu on the left side of the page. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the menu and where it says My Profile and Roster. First thing you're going to do is click on that or touch that. Your name is going to pop up. Obviously on this one it says Emma Johnson because that's the test person. Your name's going to pop up, and you look down there where it says status. And right now it's unknown. So you're going to touch near where it says status unknown, and these 5 choices are going to pop up. And you just basically list what your status is. And if you're fine and you're okay, then it's going to be accounted for. If you're absent, let's say that you're at the dentist that day that we run a drill or we have some type of emergency, and this pops up on your phone or you get an alert, you would just click absent. And when you click absent, it will account for your location. If you happen to be injured, there's some type of an emergency and you're injured, here's where you would click injured, and then you would put your location afterwards. For our purposes for the drill, we're going to be accounted for, so we're going to touch anywhere along that bar. And now you can see that status for Emma Johnson in this case is accounted for, and it was done by Emma Johnson. Now you need to put your location, and you just basically go touch on that anywhere on that bar where it says location. And in y'all's case, whatever the location of your school, all of the locations, the classrooms, the office areas, the ag building, the gym, all that's going to be listed in a long list. And it also may have some categories on it. It may have like 100 hall, and when you click on that, and then it opens up all the 100 classrooms. So once you do that, we practice it one time, you'll get familiar with the locations. You probably need to be familiar with your classroom number. I know at some schools they're a little bit confusing, but I've also embedded on the menu on the left-hand side under Documents, I've also put your campus map on there as well, so you can look on that. If for some reason you look on here and your location is not listed, you see at the top in yellow it says Location Not Listed. You can touch that, and you can go up here where it says Add Location, and you can type in a new location. And so you can add something if it's something strange and weird and we're doing a different drill than we normally would be, like you're in the science wing hallway. You can type it in and you can hit submit. Okay, in this case we're going to say you're in classroom 101, and now you have done what you need to for yourself. You've accounted for yourself and you've told us where you're at. Now we need to go, if you've got students at this time, you've got a class, you should have a roster. So we're going to go up here, we're going to hit View Roster. Now, depending on what school that you're at, you can end up having a list of rosters. Like if you're at a secondary school, you're going to have a list of rosters, first period, second period, third period, so on. If you're one of our younger grades, you're just going to have your class list. And this is an example of a class list. There's two ways to account for and give the location of kids. One is simply by going next to, as an example, Shannon Armstrong. I'm going to touch in the box right next to her name. You notice that it highlights orange, and then two orange boxes pop up down at the bottom. One says change status and one says change location. In this case, I'm going to do status first. So I'm going to touch on that orange bar. Those same 5 things pop up. I'm going to touch accounted for. And you look over on the right in green, it says for Shannon Armstrong, she is accounted for. It means she's okay. Now I'm going to hit that box again on Shannon Armstrong, and I'm going to hit change location because I need to know where she's at. Well, she's with me in room 101. And you do this for every student all the way down the row. Let's say Candace Erickson is absent today. So when I go to change status, I'm going to hit absent. You see it automatically goes ahead and puts her location as not applicable. And so it does it kind of automatically. If we go down to Lucille Fisher, I'll touch in that box and it turns it orange. I'm going to go to change status. Let's say we're in an emergency and that student happens to be injured and they're in your classroom. So I'm going to touch injured. And now I need to put the location that Lucille is in. And I'm going to touch change location down at the bottom. And she's in 101 with me. So that alerts any district officials and anyone that is monitoring all this that we have an injured student in class 101 and we need to attend to them. You just continue all the way down your roll sheet, and that's how you account for each student. There's a shortcut to this, but I caution you about using this because you want to really make sure that if you use the select all button at the top, that you know that all your students are there. You can do it if you know that all of them are in that location. You can go up and touch select all, and you see it highlights every student. And you could start out with location, change location. And one of the problems you get that message error is if you've gone through and you've already put a location for a student, you're going to have to go back and change each one of those one at a time. You can't use the select all. That's one of the problems with select all. So, if you know I've got all 20 of my students and they're all here, I've already checked roll today and they're all with me and all present, you could use the select all and you do the same thing. You would go down and do change status. You would hit accounted for. Then you would have to do select all again, and you would change location. And you could do them all at one time and do it rather quickly. Once you have finished this process, you are done. That's really the only thing that you need to do. Account for yourself and account for the students. There is no save button. Now this information has been transferred so the administrators and any first responders can see it. Your job is done. You still need to continue to monitor your phone because you may get other messages. And then when the drill is done, you'll get a message that basically says that the drill has been ended. I'm going to show you one other feature real quick. And I'm touching on the kind of 3 little bars up at the top. This is how you get back to this menu. One other thing you could end up using on this menu is student, staff, and others. Let's say that in your class, when the emergency started or the drill started, you had an extra student that you scooped into your room. Well, you can add them to your list. And basically what I did, let me go back one more time. I went to where it said student, staff, and others, and I touched on the screen, and it pulled up the list of all the students at your school. And you can go down through alphabetical. Let's say it's Candace Erickson. And I would go to Candace. I would do the exact same thing. I would touch on that student, and I would have her accounted for. And I would touch on location. She's in 101 with me. And now I'm done again. And so that's how you would get extra students if they happen to be in your room, or if you happen to be the counselor or another staff member that has a student. Let's say when a lockdown occurred and they're with you, you can account for yourself and you can account for that student. One other quick thing. You notice at the top of this screen, which was under student, staff, and others, it also says staff. You have the ability to go to, this will be all the staff listed for your campus. You have the ability to go and look up another teacher's roster and account for those kids. Let's say that teacher is gone and there's a sub in that room that day. Then you can go to staff, you can touch on that teacher, you can account for them, you can basically say they're absent, and then you can click on their roster and account for all of their students, and then you're finished as well. So you actually can work within the system and help with other teachers if they happen to be gone or if they were injured or something like that. Okay, your role is finished. You're done, and that's all you really need to do. So again, you're working from this menu. You're first going to start out with My Profile and Roster. You're going to account for yourself, and then you're going to hit Roster and account for your kids if you have students, and then you're finished unless you have to do something else like add a student. And you're done. You just monitor your phone. You can click out of the program. That's not a problem. It's still running. And if you need to, you get a reminder or something else from the office, and then you can click back onto the program. I would suggest that you go ahead and leave the app open all the time. It's not going to pull from your data. It's not going to, pull anything and cost you any money. It just is more prepared, and it will send you that push notification if an emergency were to occur. That's pretty much it with the app. We're going to practice it. I'm sure we'll have some bugs, and we'll work those things out. Thanks.